I'm Brian Foster, and this is the Grindhouse Institute. On each episode of this podcast, Jeremy Floyd and I program a triple feature movie night. Each of the movies share common themes, and we discuss them here. We're happy you could join us for today's block we call The Mayor of Gotham. Sometimes the movies we program have an obvious connection, and sometimes it's a little less obvious. Today's block is the latter. And as you'll hear, we started off with one idea for the connections, and ended up with quite a few others. A gang of men with color-coded aliases hijack a New York subway train. They'll give the train back, along with its passengers, after the city and its mayor pay them $1 million wrapped in thick, elastic bands. But what happens when said mayor is not just deathly ill, but also wildly unpopular? Walter Matthau, Robert Shaw, Martin Balsam, and Lee Wallace star in 1974's The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. Daniel's parents were executed for espionage when he was a child. Now that he's an adult, he's determined to prove their innocence. The only problem is, well, everything. Everything goes wrong. Not just the reverberations of the carceral state, but also just good old-fashioned bad luck. This harrowing journey is directed by Sidney Lumet and stars Timothy Hutton, Mandy Patinkin, Lindsay Krause, Amanda Plummer, Ed Asner, and a credited, but not featured, Lee Wallace. This is Daniel from 1983. Gotham City is looking forward to celebrating the bicentennial with balloons, a parade, the whole schmear. However, with a looming bankruptcy, rampant crime, biological weapons attacks, a gang of jokers, and a giant bat terrorizing the city, not even the funkiest party man you've ever seen will feel up to doing a bat dance for this celebration. But what happens if you bring balloons and free money? Hubba hubba hubba, who do you trust? Maybe trust Jack Nicholson, Michael Keaton, Kim Basinger, and Lee Wallace in Tim Burton's Batman from 1989. Thank you for listening to the Grindhouse Institute. Please enjoy.
A gang of men has hijacked a subway train.
A gang of men?
Has hijacked a subway train. They want $1 million for it.
Get me the police commissioner, the chairman of the transit authority, and that putz we got for a controller.
They're on their way over now, but it's no good running to them, Al. You're the mayor. The buck stops with you.
Oh, shit.
We love different opinions on the show, and then hopefully by the end of it, those opinions will change to match ours, because that's our main goal, to make everyone think the way we do.
That's the goal. We were trying to convert you.
Yeah. Did it work? Because we can come by right now and maybe give you some more literature or something.
You're just like walk into my apartment, like, yeah, nice apartment, a lot of room here,
a lot of space.
I love that. And then that scene too, like that whole thing happens. She sees him get shot.
Yes.
Who thinks she's gonna fucking dies, and then like the Joker leaves, and then she turns around and he's gone. She's like, oh, I guess I better still open this gift.
Well, you don't want to look a gift box in the mouth.
Yeah, I know. And then it's the hand, and she's like,
with dead flowers.
I don't care how deeply in debt this festival is. I want a parade. I want hot dogs, balloons, the whole smear.
Jesus, it's the goddamn mayor.
All right, welcome everybody back to the Grindhouse Institute. I'm Brian Foster, and with me as always is Jeremy Floyd. Hello, and how are you?
Hello, Vinny. It's your Uncle Bingo. Time to pay the check.
Time to pay the check. I was hoping there was going to be a Batman line. How's it going today? This is an interesting 3-film block that we've got today. You came up with the name of it. It
is.
And I have kind of an issue with the name of this block. And I'll discuss it, but it's probably something I just missed trying to cram in 3 movies in a week's time. But
I don't think it was. But go ahead.
This is called The Mayor of Gotham. This is the name of this episode. We're going to be talking about Daniel from 1983, The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3 from 1974, and Batman from 1989. I didn't go chronologically in that, but that's okay.
Something like that.
Yeah, so the Mayor of Gotham. I thought I had this figured out, and I still think I've got it figured out, but can you give us a little explainer on that, and then probably introduce our very special guest?
Let's do that. So the idea with this one was that all 3 of these films had a small role by Lee Wallace playing the mayor in New York, or a New York substitute called Gotham. And while that seemed to be true, perhaps on the call sheet and everything else, he seems to have been cut out of Daniel. So
okay, so I wasn't wrong. Good. I was wondering, I was like, I don't remember seeing him, and I paid a lot of attention to this movie.
I got to the end. I was like, okay, he's finally going to show up in this scene, right? Never mind.
This is the best block ever.
Yeah. So it's kind of a block. And it had the thinnest possible thread between them. And then when it was totally cut. So,
It's
anyway,
awesome. That's so funny.
That's what you get for picking a movie you've never seen before, like Daniel. But yeah, we also have a very special guest joining us. Actor, sharp dresser, handyman, comedian, podcaster. Most of you probably know him from the Dumb Dads podcast. Kyle Berger. Welcome, buddy.
Thank you so much for having me, gentlemen.
Quite a multi-hyphenate we have here.
I had to hype him up so hard on this one.
Yeah. Specifically because you've never heard of me. Okay, so let's just jump off right from the top here. I was watching these films. I took notes on these films. I was like, I'm going to come on a film podcast. I'm going to know my shit. And at the end of Daniel, I thought, so where was this guy playing? Like, I never saw him. And I'm thinking, like, first of all, I can't watch this again. I'm not watching it again. So I'm just going to roll with whatever clip he was in being represented. I never saw him.
I was hoping you guys saw him, and then I would just be like, "Oh, okay, yeah."
I thought I missed it completely and just wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, maybe there's like a courthouse scene, something. I don't know. Like,
got to be a deleted scene somewhere, right? On the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
So someone like appeals to the higher authorities, like, "Oh, maybe we won't get this guy electrocuted," and no, and it's like, nope, he didn't make it in the movie, I guess.
God, that's so funny.
So funny.
But he still gets the credit for it. And,
Right.
and that happened on the movie that Johnny and I worked on. There were 3 actors that ended up on the cutting room floor, but, they still got credit. It's just the way it works.
And he's only credited as the mayor, right? Every one of his credits is just the mayor. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's so funny to me. Like, I mean, talk about typecast. I mean, just like the
Yes.
I mean,
But over 3 different decades, though.
I know. That's how good of a mayor he portrayed. I mean, it's so wild.
We want the whole schmear. We want balloons. We want parades. And then when he was like deathly ill and taking Pelham 1, 2, 3, just like the mayor couldn't get out of bed. Don't bother me with it. I'm tired.
Right.
I know.
He plays the perfect, disheveled, unpopular mayor that always makes the wrong decision.
I never even makes a decision. He's such a he's so
which is the type of decision, I guess.
Even when Baron Harkonnen, the cop version, sees him coming down the street and he's like, "Oh God, the mayor's here," and all you hear is "boo."
Oh man, that was perfect. That was a perfect cutaway to you know what it is. You don't even need to see it, and you just get the joke, and you're out. It's great.
So let's start with Daniel, or is that a good way to start, or do you want to? How would, since you're the guest today, we're gonna put it up to you.
Sure. Let's get Daniel over with.
Let's get Daniel over with.
So here we are. It's 1983, and Sidney Lumet is following up his Oscar-nominated smorgasbord, The Verdict, with Daniel. So in 1982, he had a movie that just was nominated in every single category. I don't think it won any of them, but it was just an honor to be nominated. And then he cashes in his chip to
do what I want chip.
I want to do what I want.
Yeah,
and this is what he wanted. And God, so this is the first time I've seen it. I read his book a long time ago called Making Movies. And Sidney Lumet, if you're less familiar with it, his career spanned from, I think, the
50s,
the 50s to the 2010s, and he was just 12 Angry Men, Network, Serpico, Dog Day Afternoon,
ridiculous,
all kinds of great stuff, and then this one had some of his his stock company in it and everything like that, and in his book Making Movies, this is one of the movies that he talked about a lot. And he kept saying it was one of his favorite movies. So I was like, okay, this will be exciting.
That's wild.
It is very wild.
I went through the IMDb list of these 3 movies as well. I just wanted to know a little bit more, maybe there's something I didn't know about them or what the directors, the other films that they directed. I was surprised to see that he had directed Serpico. I love that movie.
Yeah.
I took like a small film class in college about like film study, and we watched 12 Angry Men. I loved that. I loved that film, and this was just such a. It was so interesting to me, like how a movie like this gets made or decides to get made. I mean, so it's not even a true story. It's like a
kind of based
kind
on
of a true story.
Two true people, yes.
Based
But
on
I think the son, following up on that and everything, that was all made for the movie, for the cinema.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so it's like they changed the names to protect the innocent, and they can have more dramatic license to do that. But it is essentially the Julius and Ethel Rosenberg story, and those two people had 2 kids, and those 2 kids also tried to like clear their name later in life. I mean, so it is very much based on true events. But it is the E.L. Doctorow, fictionalization of all that. Because, it was based on a book, and then they brought it to life in the movie.
The Book of Daniel, right?
The Book of Daniel, which is actually a better title. I mean, just Daniel as a title? Jeez.
Yeah.
I know. It sort of throws you. I mean, like, what are you to expect right away? Like, have you guys seen Matt? Well, hell of a film. Like,
have you seen David? I mean, it's one of the most common names ever. Daniel, David, John.
Yeah. Okay, but what I mean by that is like, so I guess it's sort of true, but even in all of that, it's like such a depressing story on no matter how you slice it.
Oh yeah,
it's such a depressing story and a heartbreaking story.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a father of 2 children, so like every angle I'm watching this from is like, God, I mean, this, like, how do you make something like this? I mean, without it just being like having like hard days on set emotionally, maybe. I'm not sure, but
well, what was really interesting is like I think so. Well, and after I say this, we should probably give a quick little summary of what this is, because I'm sure no one's seen this movie either. It's, you know what I mean?
That's a good point. Yeah.
It's not like 1989 Batman where everyone in the world's probably seen that at one point. But what was really interesting is like, okay, the movie that came right before this that Sidney Lumet did, The Verdict, it's also a very heavy subject matter, and it's very unrelenting. But you go through that journey to come to this place in the end that feels satisfying. And, perhaps that wasn't what you were looking for when you went into it, but, all these other things, like it ended up being satisfying. And this one, I feel like didn't really have the payoff for us, going through that sort of punishment.
Unless you were looking to watch 2 people ride the lightning by the end of the film, because that's what you're going to get.
Yes. Oh, my God.
Sorry to spoil from the 1983 film there. But
yeah, exactly. It's you just got a lot of thumbs down at people turning off the podcast. How dare you?
Jesus, it's the goddamn mayor.
But the idea is that, like, perhaps it was that David Mamet wrote The Verdict, and the moments of the drama kept you amped up each time something else happened, and it was like, oh no, it gets like harder and harder to make a decision. In this one, things are kind of like floating along, and it's just like one depressing vignette after another.
Kind of hopeless.
And you're like, I don't think it can get more depressing. I got news for you, buddy. It does.
Yeah.
Just wait. When the axe murderer from So I Married an Axe Murderer decides to go too. I mean, that one hit me hard. And she was only in one scene, right? Like there was only one scene, or well, maybe 2. One where they were at the dinner table at the very beginning, which felt very Ice Storm to me.
Oh, right.
And then also when you see her later on when she's already been hospitalized. And
wait, are you talking about Honey Bunny?
Honey Bunny.
Amanda Plummer? Yeah.
Amanda Plummer, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. Like her character's story in particular is just, oh boy, it's rough.
It's really rough. I think it did a good job portraying his care for his sister through the scenes of them being like little kids.
Mm-hmm.
So even though she's in 2 scenes, those are 2 very powerful scenes.
With Wyatt from Weird Science.
Oh yeah,
that's who plays the young Daniel. Yeah.
Oh, really?
So at the end, it sort of caught me off guard that his sister died. So the next thing you know, you're at the funeral, and it was like, wow, what? Like,
right?
As if I couldn't take any more kicks to the emotional balls. That was like the last one. I was just like, I paused it for a second and went back to see if did I miss like a little clip into that, and it was just like, no,
right.
she
and
died.
they're cross-cutting between
Right.
the daughter's funeral and the parents' funeral.
Yeah, it's like, oh my god.
Yeah, I guess there was a
Mamma mia.
little divide between the color grading of each of those sections, which kind of gave you a little bit of like, okay, I know where I'm at thing. But I was still there were times where I was a little confused, especially right off the get-go, because they don't tell you. First of all, you get Timothy Hutton in like this black box theater monologue, and you're like, what the hell is he talking about? And he's talking about riding the lightning, right? He's talking about how electricity
all the
works.
Types of the first one, yeah, you're right. It's just about, because he talks about different types of like capital punishment.
Yeah, he talks about how electricity works, and then how the chair works is that you complete the circuit, right? Like that's how they finally take you out. But then all of a sudden you're at that dinner table, and then you're way back in the 30s. Right? Isn't that how far back it goes? Mm-hmm. So it's like...
Yeah, and I'll admit I was confused, too. Like, I wasn't sure, like, if... I guess maybe I didn't know that was it's a filmmaking trick to color grade it differently, so it's sort of clear that they're two different things. Like, for the first, 30 minutes or so, I was confused, just like, so who's his dad or who's the kid? And then it became clear after a while, but right away I didn't get that.
I still was confused as to who the two people were that were with Daniel. They looked like they were friends of Mandy Patinkin and, oh man, how am I blanking on her name? She's in cool David Mamet films.
Lindsay Krause.
Oh yeah, she's so good. She was great in this too. I got to say the performances were good in this. I hate to go like off center of our complaining about the film, but the performances were pretty good in this one. And
I mean, there's a lot to praise it for. I think just overall, it really didn't come together, and that's the thing that we're all left with here. And it was like, okay, so we got emotionally beat up, and now what? No, nothing? Okay.
I'm so glad I started with this in our block. I got this one. It was fine. And then right into Pelham, and it was like, yes, this was fun, and it was a nice little eye-washing.
Watching, like, being confused to where they were, because I don't think there was a reveal, not even in language or anything in the dinner scene, that leads you to believe that those two are anything other than their parents. And so then figuring that out after, it was like, okay, now I'm catching up, I guess. You just assume that they're sitting with their parents. I mean, he's speaking to them like they're his children. The sophisticated conversation they're having leads you to believe the whole family is like this. So why would I believe that they are not the children or something? Yeah. So then cutting away from that scene,
they
was
the children. They're like the adopted children. They're just like not biological children.
Right.
Sure,
but
then the
mom,
idea,
right?
Yeah.
And then the idea was, I mean, like, it's supposed to put you off kilter like that. I mean, that was done on purpose. It's just that, like, the effect of all of it, it's just like, you know what? Everything really sucks, and even in the end, it seems as though you're supposed to be getting a glimmer of hope because you're seeing this like mass protest movement or whatever.
Yeah.
But, like, it's not as if that leaves you in a place where, you know what I mean, you're feeling like, oh well, all of this is worth it, or they were building towards something, or like, he got something out of this. It was just unfortunately just this really like just being hit by a dump truck, falling down a cliff, and then like as he's being rescued, his head gets banged every time. It's like Homer, coming back down that mountain every time.
Yeah,
and just like, every possible thing that could possibly go wrong does go wrong, and it's pretty harrowing.
The scene where they're so confused why they take their parents, when he's a little boy, and the FBI, whoever's just going through their whole apartment,
and like ripping up the floors,
ripping up the floors, like
shredding those mattresses.
Like for some reason it was so powerful to watch. The moment that stuck with me is just like watching this guy like dump out all of his baseball cards and go through them, and he's just like staring at him, and I couldn't help but like put myself in his shoes, just thinking like.
Yeah,
God, it was like so hard to watch that. You don't even know why you took your mom and dad, and then you're just like ruining your home. This is like, it was hard to watch.
So let's talk about that. We didn't go through the little synopsis actually, like you said we were gonna. But we talk about why the government was after the parents is that they were supposedly communists and they were sharing secrets with Russia, right?
Like,
and that was
how secrets, yeah.
Atomic secrets.
Yeah.
So What I didn't capture, or when I watched it, was whether or not they actually did share those secrets, or if they were just made to be the poster child, if you will, of don't fuck with America.
Don't do this. Yeah. Exactly. Here's what happens
because that poster that they had, free them.
Yeah.
While I know that was for their benefit, it still became that like propaganda image or propagandish image.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering if you guys caught that, because when I was reading the film plot online, it does say that they did share secrets and that's why they were caught. But I thought there was some confusion with that other fella that kind of admitted to a crime that there was no proof of the crime, which is, you know what I mean? So I don't know what you guys got from that.
Right. Well, what I took out of the movie, and I can't even remember what they're called. The fake Rosenbergs. What are they called? The Isaacsons.
The Isaacsons, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
They, perhaps they were involved in something, or in a small way, but that regardless, no one proved it.
Right. Exactly.
And then on top
right.
of that, they got railroaded and put to death. There was no real trial. It was a show trial. And the whole thing was kind of like you were saying, Brian, like it was just to put the fear into other people.
A big show,
of going against the grain there.
Bail has been set at $100,000.
Paul is not accused of stealing atomic secrets.
That is correct.
He's accused of conspiring to steal secrets.
That is correct.
But if they don't charge espionage, but only intending to do espionage, that means they have no evidence that anything was done.
That is correct.
Well, isn't that weaker?
That's why I think they have forced a confession.
And I mean, Mandy Patinkin clearly went insane in prison too, just waiting out this ultimate execution that they were going to reach anyway.
Right.
But
Yeah,
he ends up collecting bugs. He's like Renfield all of a sudden. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, wow, man. Sorry.
That don't feel like it made sense in a way that like maybe his character is always the kind of person that like needs some sort of guidance, and so he's like when they go to see the people.
Interesting.
When he sees some people speak, and he takes them to listen to speak, he hangs on to every word that is being spoken.
Yeah.
So like that. So to have now he's just sitting in a cell with nothing and no one to guide him into feeling in any sort of way. So he
had to create that structure that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, showing that he collects bugs seems like such a. I mean, it seems like he's crazy, but at the same time, something's gonna something will pique his interest, and he's the type of character or person that becomes obsessed with something. So that what else does he have? What else can he be obsessed with? Maybe nothing. I don't know.
Right. I mean, his options are pretty limited to this type of beetle and this type of roach. And
Get it away from me, Dad. Get it away from me. He's like, no, look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, I mean, and it's the intended effect of that was that it's supposed to be heartbreaking. That like, okay, it's like, his kids don't want to fucking be there because it's like, who wants to see your parents that way? And then also like, they have been sort of broken in two separate ways. And, you saw, I don't know, Lindsay Krause and, her, new self haircut, what appeared to be, she cut her own hair, and, her sort of, very manic behavior. And, I'm sure a lot of that just has to do with the way they were treated in prison. But the point is that it's like super depressing. And that's what the whole movie is like. Okay, where could the story go? Well, what would be the most depressing thing? That's what we'll do. Perfect.
Yeah, that's what we'll do. Yeah.
Crank it up. Crank up the depression.
Yeah. You think it'll be hard to see his sister in the insane asylum? Yeah. Not as hard as it would be to find razor blades in her car. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, can we please?
Oh, you think of like visiting her the first time was bad? Wait till you see the second time. And
Yeah,
she's just
I mean-
catatonic. And like I thought he was picking up her corpse. That's how bad it was. And then like she moved at the very end of it.
And she did finally move.
Yeah,
like
completely fair assumption.
Yes, exactly. I thought the same thing. I was like,
Okay. So real quick, let's do this. Let's do the quick plot summary here because we keep talking.
We're never gonna say it.
Which is that like essentially, we follow these two kids of two parents who were tried for exposing nuclear secrets, and then that trial seemed to be just a kangaroo court trial, and then we see the fallout of that experience through the eyes of the kids and how it damaged them and all these other things. And then we see, Daniel's situation, and he's just being beaten up like Job. And perhaps that's why the novel was called Book of Daniel. But it was like, just every single thing that could happen that would go wrong went wrong. But to focus on a couple of things that I did like about it, I mean, despite how disorienting you guys were feeling about some of the stuff, I did really appreciate the editing in the movie. A lot of times it was like, we'd be in a scene and we didn't know what was going on, but it would be building toward telling us what was going on. And then we'd just be to the next scene. And then, okay, where the hell are we? Oh, it's the 1930s, and these cops on horseback are beating up these protesters or whatever, and then we're back in the 60s, and you know what I mean? So it would take you through all these moments and do it sort of efficiently. Now, I mean, unfortunately, to me, it was more about like sticking the landing, I think, and I feel like it didn't do that, like to the point where like you wanted to feel like, wow, that was very harrowing. We got to the end of this, and here's what we get for all our trouble of sitting through this really, really painful episode. Yeah, and we didn't really get that.
And I agree. I mean, I don't really know a way. I mean, I think it would be more story. I mean, more of somewhat of an emotional key to turn for Daniel to find some way. I mean, because really what it's like, all this horrible stuff, his whole life is horrible. Everything horrible happens to him. His sister dies, like all these things. And then it's like, but I guess just sitting and listening to a protest is all right with me. I mean, but isn't that like define like how like everything that your life is centered around is like this, and like it was just okay, like I am assuming.
He's like, oh, he finally found the guy who ratted out his parents, and he's gonna confront him. God damn it! And the guy's like, Daniel, and then just drifts off back into senility and just like it's complete. Nobody's there.
Yeah.
Lights aren't on.
Go ahead, Daniel. Ask him anything you want. You can't ask him anything.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think they were trying, like you said, Jeremy, that they were trying to give a glimmer of hope for where Daniel's at with that end montage. Yeah. I just don't think that it was the right montage.
It didn't achieve it. Yeah. That's true.
I will say this. I just wanted to say this too, because this is something that I really did think about during this film and other films of this era that I've seen. I even thought about this. I remember kind of thinking about this about Serpico a long time ago. Is it for all the reasons that movies get remade once in a while, that I don't understand why some movies get remade. They just get remade because it's like a cash grab or whatever it is. Sure. But like sometimes films like this, I feel deserve to be remade in the sense that like the performances and the story being told, I feel. Like the technology available then cannot like support sometimes the performances that are offered. Like the sound sucks. I mean, it's a lot of wide shots, and I think some of that I think is stylistic. Choices.
It's definitely
sure.
Sidney Lumet. Yeah.
Is it okay? But I mean, of course, I'm talking about Serpico is like the same director, but sometimes you think like some of the performances you really would feel if you were more like. I don't know, a part of it or in the room there, whereas it feels like you're kind of watching it like it's a play. Not that emotions cannot be felt watching a play, but sometimes things like this, you'd feel like if you were more a part of that. I don't know.
A different format, and you needed to treat it with that format. And and you're right, like the movie very much like held you at an arm's length a lot of times, and it kind of didn't let you in, and you wanted to be let in, and then and in being let in, you can then have. Daniel's story come to a satisfying conclusion as opposed to, it just being a series of awful things that happen to him and then it's over. It's just, it stops arbitrarily, basically.
Yeah. I mean, I think the important thing to say maybe is that it's not a bad movie. It's a depressing movie. There's a lot of hard stuff to take. And so a lot of things can come out of this, that a story like that doesn't necessarily get told, especially if what they're trying to do is sweep that under the rug and those people suffer like that. But the ramifications of what happens throughout a person's life and then their children's life and potentially their children's lives.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the way he's
damage, like down
yeah.
The
I mean,
line.
it really does. I thought that was pretty clear. Even through the way Daniel spoke to his wife.
Maybe that's where that end montage happens. Maybe you see that Daniel kind of moved on with his life and found like a family, but perhaps there is that continued chain of events that keep going generation by generation.
I mean, lots of stuff to tackle in Daniel too. When they decide to make that movie.
Yeah. Daniel too. Or re-Danieling.
Still Danieling?
Yeah.
Re-Danieling.
So one real quick thing I wanted to talk about in this before we move on is I love the... Okay, did you guys catch the name of the mayor from Ghostbusters? Speaking of mayors. Mayor
Lenny. Mayor...
I don't know.
So in Ghostbusters, yeah, he's Mayor Lenny. In this one, he's Dr. Duberstein, which is...
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't that the name of, like, that never-seen character from Curb Your Enthusiasm, where it's, like, on the Seinfeld reunion season, there's, like, you know... Michael Richards is like paranoid because he has some like rare disease, and he's like, "Oh, my friend Duberstein had it." And, like,
yeah.
Then he had to get Leon to play Duberstein.
I don't remember that one.
And he's like, "Yeah, shit, I can be Jewish or whatever."
Yeah.
And he keeps screwing up like basic words. Oh my god, it's killing me.
Bar misfit and all that shit. Yeah.
Say that again?
Bar misfit.
It's not bar mitzvit.
Bar misfit.
Bar mitzvud.
Bar misfit.
Fud. Bar mitzvud. If we're gonna do this, then you better learn how to pronounce this.
I
Bar misfit.
burst out laughing hearing that name just because of that association, despite the fact that the movie's super depressing.
I know you're grasping for anything
to find something,
funny.
yeah.
Anything.
Please.
Anything.
Let me feel good.
It was satisfying when Daniel throws the tray when he like freaks out.
Oh, yeah.
It was like yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I feel like doing right now.
But so you watched Brian. You watched Daniel first, and then Pelham second. I watched Pelham first and Daniel second, and
same. I watched Pelham first, Daniel second, and then Batman.
Okay, right on. Yeah, and just because of that order, I think, it had been so long since I'd seen Pelham that I didn't remember a lot of it, but there was maybe like 2 or 3 shots of Daniel in that sort of like end montage where he's like sort of walking through the subway. I was like, man, that looks like that same era that Pelham takes place in. Again, sort of grasping at straws to put these movies together. There's one.
Now that's how you program a block.
That's how you do it.
Yeah, looks like neither of these films cell phones are available, so that's pretty strong.
So this is not the first time you've seen Pelham, Jeremy? The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, or also known as Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3? Yeah,
you got to put those pauses in there.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, this isn't the first time I've seen it. I had seen it once before, but I forgot how much I forgot about it, and I ended up I think liking it better this time than I did.
Oh, I loved it. Evan, what are your thoughts?
I liked it. I had never seen it before.
Same,
and the funny thing about maybe we should do the synopsis first before we get buried in all this. Say the synopsis first.
Yeah, do you wanna give it a whirl?
Let me see. Well, I guess it's like a team of gangsters hijack a subway train in New York City and demand it take like how many
$1
people?
million.
$1 million. It's like 15 people hostage or something.
Yeah,
just
15,
think speed 16. On a train. Okay,
that's what I was thinking. The whole time I'm thinking like, yeah, I've seen this before.
There you go.
It was what's funny is like towards the end of the film when they like rig the train to be speeding along and all the bad guys.
Yes. Dead man switch.
It felt so much like Speed for some reason. I don't know what that was, but it was just like
with Dennis
really...
Hopper with his weird finger, and then he's got a. I thought Travolta was really good in this movie, though. I don't know what you guys felt,
dude. Okay. So here's the thing. Like,
how
when
was
I
Denzel
saw
in this
that
one?
remake, isn't it Denzel and Travolta?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I went on after to like IMDb these films to watch, like see maybe some like stuff I didn't know, or like do a little bit of research on the directors or where they came from, any of that kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, Taking Pelham 1, 2, 3. Clicked on it. It was like 2009. There's no way this movie was made in 2009. That looks way old. And then it was like, wait a minute, Denzel Washington and John. What? So I look at it again, like, oh, this must be a remake. So I find the next one down and click on that one, and it's like, I don't think any of these guys are in the movie either. It's been remade twice.
Really?
Yes, really?
Yeah, it got remade. It got made in like 1998, and like
Really? Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, now I
New
wanna
one on
get-
me.
the
Oh
yeah.
wow. Okay, so yeah, it's a television film. I just looked it up. You're right. It has Edward James Olmos and
Yeah.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yes.
Wow, really?
Yes, but I'm looking at the poster thing like those characters don't seem very familiar to me. It's like
Gotta go back. Gotta go
It's
back.
like the most remade
Donnie
movie.
Wahlberg's in it? Lorraine Bracco?
Yeah, I know.
Oh my God.
That was
Oh,
again
Lorraine
the one
Bracco, wow.
the one that threw me was like Donnie Wahlberg. Like, unless he was like one of the kids on the train, like I don't understand it. Like, so yeah. Anyway, the most remade movie of all time. So yeah. So they steal this train. They ask for $1 million, and the whole thing is how are they going to get out of this? I mean, how are they going to escape
Yeah.
considering they're underground in
Yeah.
a tubed off subway system?
Yeah, which they say quite a few times, right? Walter Matthau basically is like, how are you going to get out of this? Right?
Yeah.
You're underground.
I really did appreciate the fact that like the detectives and everything were sort of they kept going back to that like
Yeah.
this seems like a stupid thing for them to be doing.
Yeah.
So
It's a
why
dumb
is
plan.
so,
Yeah,
so why is
exactly.
it why is it not a dumb plan? They're
Yeah.
going to how do they plan to get out of this? I really liked that line of thinking that they because it's kind of what you and I thinking about like well.
Yeah,
Are they just going to go down there? Like, I mean, I guess the idea is you don't want 14 or however many you want the hostages, innocent people to die, but at the same time, like, well, where are they going to go? I mean, what's
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to come up out of the subway at some point. Yeah, exactly.
So clearly, some inspiration in this one for Reservoir Dogs. All the criminals in this, or they all had names of colors.
Right.
Yeah.
You can kind of make the
Mr.
assumption
Green,
that
Mr.
they may
Blue.
not have known each other before this gig, and they just kind of got put together from some The Thing or whatever his name was, Joe from from Reservoir Dogs. But they all call each
Motherfucker
other
is
the
Thing.
Yeah, motherfucker is the thing. But Robert Shaw, Quint, if you will, who is so awesome as the leader, if you will, Mr. Blue, he looked like Eddie Bunker in Reservoir Dogs, and it was interesting that they both had the name Mr. Blue. So,
Right.
there you go.
some of the stuff in this film I thought was like a bit weird to me, like in the sense, I mean, like in the first like 5 seconds, or whatever, the guy like adjusts his mustache, so you're like, okay, so he's part of a plot line. He's wearing a costume. I mean, it's like for that reason, it was kind of distracting for me. That was like so on the nose with like maybe make sure I adjust my mustache before I board. It was like, okay, so he's up to no good, I guess. Like, and like, yeah, and so then the second guy gets on the train, and the third guy gets on the train. I was like, gee, I wonder who all has a plan together. The trench coat, mustache, fedora gang, and don't forget your statement glasses, like
Van
it's
Buren
like,
boys.
Yeah, I mean, it was
Your
like,
glasses with no lenses. Yeah.
I mean, so that was. I was like immediately in my head like making fun of that right away. I was like, okay, okay, so there's the team of bad guys there that all. It's like they all show up and go, oh, okay. I guess we're all look exactly the same. It was like, okay,
but their outfits made sense by the end, though. Because they had all the pockets underneath, and they kind of made it all. It's like, all right, everyone remove your mustaches, everyone remove your hats.
Exactly. Like what a cool reveal for that.
Yeah.
And like, Reservoir Dogs ripped that off as well, where everyone's wearing the same thing. And this was one of the movies that almost put together with Reservoir Dogs when we were talking about like all the movies that they ripped off, and I'm sure there's more we could have done. But in this one, what's cool is like in Reservoir Dogs, it's just like, oh, it's just a funky thing. Everyone's wearing the exact same, thin tie black suit. But in this one, like there was this sort of like purpose behind it. Everyone had this like disguise, and then like the reversible jacket, and you get rid of the hats and all these other things, and all of a sudden the guys look different, right? And a lot of them look really different. Like I mean, Martin Balsam and Hector Elizondo, with both when they like pulled off their head and their crown bald, and it's like, whoa, they just look totally different.
Because I know Hector Elizondo with the goatee usually. And then when he took it off, I was like, who the hell's that guy?
Yeah, exactly.
On top of that, he takes the costume, like the disguise off, and you're like, oh, this guy's in this movie?
Yeah.
It's like costume did a fair job, I guess.
Yeah.
Like what I was curious to know is, what is this listed as? Is this listed as a comedy, drama, action? Like what?
It's got to be a comedy action, right? Because it's hilarious, and there's tons of comedians in it. Jerry Stiller's in it.
Yeah.
And Walter Matthau's hilarious.
Walter Matthau was really
Doris
funny
Roberts
in this movie.
had a small role in it. Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh, the guy who was in all the like 70s Woody Allen movies, he played the mayor's assistant or whatever in this.
Oh, that guy's awesome.
He's hilarious. I'm forgetting his name right now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. He was
Tony
he was
Roberts.
Really,
Tony Roberts.
Yeah. He was really good.
He was great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, you need to make the decision.
Yeah.
Now you've asked everyone in the room. Now make your decisions.
I know.
I love how he kept cutting people off when they started to equivocate and like, whoa. You know?
Yeah, I know. And then one guy's like, "Well, it's a lot of." He's like, "Okay, so a no from you." It's like, your thoughts are pretty clear right now. We just need the important
Got it, buddy.
guys.
Next, yeah. Oh my god.
I love the line. He's like, "That's $1 million." He's like, "It's not how much it weighs; it's what it pays for, or what it buys, or whatever."
Yeah,
Like,
what it buys.
That's a great line.
This is $1 million. It's what it buys, Albert, not what it weighs.
Going back to the costumes really quick, because so at the end when they're, what I thought was, I don't understand this decision making on a couple of these lines. It's like, what would have been so much better to me is if they're just flipping their jackets inside out, ripping off their mustache and stuff without saying it, like they had no idea what was going on. He's okay, mustaches, and then they all do the mustache. Hats, and then they all do the hats. New hats. And like, it was like 6 things, too. They kept doing it over and over, and it's like, we get it. Like, what also would have been clear is if they would have just started doing it. I didn't need to, like, you didn't need to, like, say it as if
yeah, but
it was a weird choice.
This guy's used to military precision, and he has this dipshit crew that he has to spell out each
exactly. He needs to make sure.
Every single step.
Because you need to make sure Arbogast.
He's going to wrangle the kids, Okay.
Arbogast has got to get it right.
Yeah. Tie your hair. Tie your shoes. Something.
Tie your hair and comb your shoes.
Yeah.
Exactly what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah.
The line at the beginning of the film too, when he's like, when they first hijack the train, and the guy says something to him, and he's like, "What are you gonna do about it?" And he goes, "I'll shoot your pee-pee off."
Like, was that Hector Elizondo?
What?
I'm gonna shoot your pee-pee off.
Yeah.
But that was intended to be funny, right? Because
Totally.
There were a bunch of, okay, good.
I guess I wasn't sure. It was like the least threatening thing to say to somebody while holding a gun.
How do you think I felt after watching Daniel? I'm like, this movie's got to be too dead serious, right? Like, I'm not supposed to laugh at anything. And then stuff was coming at me, and I'm like, should I laugh?
Yeah, or like when Walter Matthau finds out the Japanese guy's speaking, like, in his fucking
Come
face.
on, dummies.
Yeah.
Follow me, dummies. Thank you, sir.
Like, Walter Matthau was like fucking perfect in this. It's like, okay, not only did he nail that little comic moment, and then the comic moment that ended the film.
Oh yeah.
But like, he also like really played all those other moments where things were getting kind of serious, and like that guy got blown away, the ball busting, train yard master or whatever. Like, I'm not
Fat
taking
Tony
shit
or
from
whatever
anybody on my train.
Yeah. Fat Vito or whatever they called him. Yeah.
It's like marching down the tunnel to his impending death.
You better go get him.
Yeah.
He's running into a gun right now.
He's like pointing a machine gun at him. He's like, I'm going to kill you. And he's like, nope. What do you think is going to happen, buddy?
Perfect with this character, though. Like, it is exactly the kind of guy that's just like, I don't take shit from nobody. He's like, you do take a lot of lead, apparently.
Well, yeah, I guess you do in this case, yeah. And, so when the other guy in the train, command center, was like, I don't want to do any of this crap. My trains aren't running on time or whatever. Like, and all of the like hectic shit was running around. Like, the way he would sort of, calmly or, outthink some of these things where it's like, well, how the hell would they know if the, car got in a wreck or not? And so he would just like play those things off. Like, he was able to sort of do both. That's what I'm trying to say. Is like, play the suspense scenes, but also play the comedy, which they really needed. And like, you could imagine, I don't know what, like, in this time, maybe, I don't know, Jerry Lewis or somebody trying to play this or something where it's like he perhaps wouldn't have the gravitas, although he was really great in King of Comedy, playing it kind of straight. But you can imagine someone else perhaps being able to do the comedy, but not the sort of tense and the drama aspects. But
and that's why Jerry Stiller was good against Walter Matthau.
Yeah,
because when Walter Matthau was like, "Oh, this is our lieutenant," tell him what's going on. He's like, "Well, we had a bomb scare last week, but it turned out to be a cantaloupe." And it was kind of the end of the conversation.
Yeah, which is like, I thought was funny about that line too. Is like, I don't even know if that's real. I think maybe he was just like making it up to be
exactly,
like, yeah, gee, this is how exciting this is.
We got to talk about this.
Yeah, why don't you
boring
fuck
ass
off?
job we've got.
I'm reading the paper.
Did you feel that, or did you think? I mean, Jeremy, you've seen this before, but Evan, maybe you thought that because Arbogast, I can't remember his name in the what's his real name?
Martin Balsam.
Martin Balsam, yeah. When Martin Balsam
Mr. Green.
was sneezing the whole time,
Yeah,
did you think that there was going to be a connection back to the mayor somehow, and were they going to try to blow that conspiracy open?
I mean, it was so obvious that it was like, don't forget this guy has a cold. And it's like exactly how they were portraying it. It was like, I know, and like the way that all that was going was like, well, I guess this is going to come around somewhere.
Yeah,
but. Yeah, because the mayor had a cold. I felt like maybe they were trying to distract you in that sense because honestly, the end line like pissed me off.
Really?
Yeah,
I love that last line.
Because
look, Evan, for a comedian, you don't have a sense of humor. What the hell's going on over there?
Maybe the problem is that I do. It was just like it felt like. I mean, what I wanted to say, I'm like, my kids are in bed. I'm watching this at like midnight, and it ends, and I wanted to say out loud, like, the movie ends on a fucking dad joke, is what it felt like. Like, I almost thought it would have been better.
We know what to expect on next week's, Instagram post. Yeah.
Wait, what's the last line in your opinion, or what do you mean the dad joke? Do you mean just the face he gave, the look he gave, or?
Yeah, like that he sneezes and he like leans in, and because it was like, oh my god, it's like that's what you've been. That's why you forced this.
You had to find that Walter Matthau, lip, that face, that that look he gives.
Exactly.
There it is.
That's the other thing that like I mean, it's like that's such a hard fucking thing to sell. Now, I agree. For 1 out of 3 of us, it didn't work. But like, for the other 2, I really felt like that did work.
Hilarious.
And it was like one of those things where it's like, God damn, like again, it's so hard to try and like end it that way, and especially since like this is like pre Die Hard, but that sort of balance of action and comedy that this thing does so well, like like things get kind of heavy at certain points, but not too heavy, and like things get kind of funny, but not too slapsticky. It's not Mad World,
right?
And it's not it's fuck, I don't even know, like the Dark Knight, where it's just like we got all the cops down there. Oh no, like
right.
like it doesn't go too far in either direction, but reminds you like, well, this is a popcorn movie. You're supposed to be having fun, and like it ends on like that fucking face, and it's just man, I burst out laughing.
Yeah. I was like, I imagine half the audience is like, "Whoa," and the other half the audience is like, "Oh my god!" It was like groans and laughter. Yeah. I mean, like maybe to me that I guess I wasn't sure. Maybe a misstep for me, just a small one that I wasn't really. It wasn't clear to me that it was like a comedy. Like I said, I wasn't even sure if it was a comedy. Like it had funny moments, but if some of the humor felt like it landed a little bit more for me as a tone, then I maybe would be okay with that, or then kind of expecting it in some way, and then the payoff is even there, even though you kind of feel it coming. It's fine sometimes. I think when humor is there, because you feel like, oh, I felt like they were going to do that, and so it's rewarding as the viewer. But it was still funny that like that's how they ended, because that scene is pretty intense where he's kicking the money under the bed, and I even thought like
the suspense there, it was great. Yeah.
When he was trying to do the Scrooge McDuck and swim around in it for a while there.
Yeah, I mean it was like a little bit tropey when he's like, you got a light, and he's like, oh yeah, but it's tricky. I got to do it. It was like, how are they going to figure this out? Yeah. And because they're in there for
turn on the oven though, he was going to turn on the burner. I'm like, it's not going to fuck up your money, bro.
But maybe he doesn't know which one's which. Oh no.
Yeah. Well, I actually really like to warm my cigarettes before I put them on now.
I was going to use the broiler.
Yeah, the broiler.
But I think that like what you're reacting to is something like, this is a movie that was meant to be seen with an audience, and that sort of like infectious like laughter that you'd feel with a crowd, I think would help sort of clarify some of that. In that sense, like it is maybe harder in some ways to watch it at home. I mean, that last piece like landed for me, but I mean, perhaps in the theater might have been more fun for you, but I don't know. Maybe it's
I would have
still
thrown all my stuff at the screen. Like,
yeah. Make the guy clean up your soda. God damn.
I think probably I bet if I watched it a second time, I'd probably appreciate it more, knowing that was a little bit of the intention, or like knowing the tone of it after having seen it. I'd probably have a lot more fun with it. But some of the stuff was like, it was almost like too corny for me. I mean, I like the straight man humor more, so it was like some of the stuff was a little bit too like campy in that sense. But like, I mean, my favorite, one of the best comedic moments I loved was when he was giving the tour to those Japanese guys, and he's like, he starts walking. He's like, "All right, gentlemen, follow me," and he just walks all the way down the hall, talking, and they're just like standing there.
Follow me.
Which is even funny now, knowing that like they spoke English, so like, why didn't they go with him? Like,
yeah, exactly.
And the other thing I thought was interesting is that, I mean, it's probably just a sign of the times back then, but. So they make it very clear the whole movie that women are pointless and can't do anything.
Yeah.
And that was, I mean, like, the whole time you're thinking, like, which one of the women on the train is the cop.
Exactly, because they said it was a woman, didn't they?
Well, he was like, and it's probably a woman. It's probably a woman. He kept like dropping that hint. Okay.
Right.
There's even one aboard the train. One of the hostages.
You're kidding. There's a cop on a train?
Yeah, tactical force.
Man or woman?
You know something I never even thought to ask?
Like that lily-livered cop on the train, huh? When the hell's he gonna start shooting?
We don't even know if it is a he. There's a bunch of heavily armed men down there. What chance has one lousy cop got, especially if it's a dame?
Yeah, and then everybody else is like, but if it's a woman, we're totally screwed, and she's not going to, it's just like...
But that would have been a great hero moment, right? If she came and saved the day, or...
It would have been an incredible moment, even if it was the same thing, and the result is that, I don't know if maybe the guy didn't die. He got shot, I guess, and then... They said the ambulance is on the way, so we don't know his true fate. But I just thought that was like, it was weird. Like I said, it must just be like a the sign of the times as to what it was. I mean, because then there's added commentary of the woman that works in like the little office there.
Yeah,
and he's
right.
like, and you got to watch
where
your
Fat
language.
Tony
like,
was working. Yeah,
yeah. He's like, if I had to watch my goddamn language, I would have. It was just like, dude. This is written pretty harsh for women in that era.
Sign of the times.
Yeah,
no, totally.
I desperately wanted it to be a woman that stood up and did something in the train. It was
I agree.
When's it going to happen?
Okay, here's what we need to do. We need to remake it a fourth time.
Yes.
And this time, Walter Matthau is a woman who can deliver the ending look after the Gesundheit.
But who plays John Travolta's character?
John Travolta plays a woman. He just brings back his character from Hairspray.
Yeah,
she's on the train.
No one will ever notice.
Yeah. Like, how sick would it have been if it was the woman with the two kids all along, and she's playing this like,
that'd have been awesome.
You would never expect that, because you're thinking like, this lady with the kids and all this stuff, or if it was the half-drunk woman that was like
well, okay, that's what I thought it was going to be the whole time.
Me too. I thought she was undercover.
Possum the whole time.
Yeah. It's like, I get it, she's drunk, but like, we're ripping off AK-47s in the train here. Like,
I think she only woke up when the train crashed at the end, right? Or when it finally came to a stop, I should say. Yeah.
Not when there's like bullets
we're going
whizzing
70 miles an hour.
It just has to be a red. It has to be.
I told you it would stop. Like, okay, pal.
Yeah, buddy. No, but going back to the sort of Speed 1.0 thing for a second, that undercover cop thing got me thinking about Speed as well. It's like, okay, there's an undercover cop embedded among the passengers. It's a hijacked like mass transit. One of the bad guys in Speed, the only bad guy, was someone who was like an insider who knew the system, who had been fired and sort of jilted by the system and was trying to get paid and didn't care who died because of it. I mean, there's so many little things where it's like, geez, it really did influence Speed. The more I thought about it, like those.
Yeah. Martin Balsam sneezing the whole time and everything.
Yeah.
But then I thought it was weird, is it like, because he kept questioning, like, I thought you said nobody's going to get hurt, or I thought we weren't going to kill anybody, or then like, are you sure we got to kill somebody? What's 10 more minutes? He kept like, all that made me think like, this guy's somehow not mixed up in this, or like, very like surface value mixed up in this somehow, that all the violence and everything makes him really uncomfortable. Yeah. So I wasn't really like his motivation as to why he was doing all this or how he even got mixed up in this was a little confusing.
Well, they said because he was busted, right? Didn't they say he was busted for drugs?
Well, he was like, yeah, but his opinion was he was framed, and perhaps he was, and like there was an interesting place where they set up the undercover cop that rides the trains around, I guess, like you know, and yeah, in his opinion, like what had happened is he got framed by one of those people.
So when he's like laying on the money and celebrating that much, it felt weird to me. That was like, but he seemed like so second guessing like every step of this.
Yeah.
Except for maybe just the stuff he knew how to do.
This has had to be his first job, right?
Yeah,
like first
exactly.
big job.
He's not a professional armed robber the way that Robert Shaw was.
He doesn't catch and kill sharks like Quint would. Show me the way to go home.
The head, the tail, the whole damn thing. But how funny was Robert Shaw's, I don't know what, expressed nihilism in the movie? And it's like, I guess that was the sort of, like, because he talks about, like, you know, someone was freaking out that they're going to die, or it's like, well, at least you know when you're going to die, or whatever. And like,
yeah.
And then, you know, he decides to just kill himself by stepping on the third rail. You know, his collar starts smoking like the guy in Batman or whatever.
There you go. There's the connection.
Yeah.
Don't need the mayor anymore.
Yeah, we're going to find stronger connections throughout. Like, if anybody was framed for anything wrong doing in Batman, that's way stronger than...
I'm glad you're dead.
Yeah.
I thought, like, that's another scene that, like... Sometimes, like, I don't know what would happen. Maybe that's part of the advantage there. If you step on a third rail, like... but you know, my money wouldn't be like that. You would stand there and like shake for 10 seconds. It'd be like a gunshot, and then you'd die and fall. Like,
yeah, right to the ground, right? Yeah.
Well, if you think about the way Mandy Patinkin went out in Daniel, he was doing the Harlem Shake pretty hard there.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's because he was strapped to a chair. This guy clicks his heels like he's trying to go home. You know,
and he does.
Yeah, and so like maybe that's part of the comedy of it. But like,
you're not in Valhalla anymore.
Yeah. When they show stuff like that in films, you think like, is there nobody in the editing room going, I mean, okay, listen, I know we spent a long time on this scene, but this looks ridiculous.
But everyone's probably asking the same question you are, and they're like, what would happen? They're like, I don't know. Leave it in.
No idea. Let's leave it.
Yeah, give it some drama. Give it some length.
Yeah, but look at the coloring on his face. We added some red there. Like, I get it. New technology. This is all fine and dandy, but like, it looks weird.
Should we move on to Batman or continue discussing our fourth remake of Pelham 123?
Yeah.
Pelham 1232.
Yeah.
Pelham 1234 is really.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
7, 8,
it's
9,
there.
10.
Actually, it's right there. Yeah.
It's right there.
Oh man. Yeah. Take us into the Batman, Brian. Let's do it.
I mean, gladly.
Oh wait, no, just
no,
Batman.
not the Batman. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, just Batman.
Wrong movie.
I guess that's true. This coincides kind of with the release of a brand new Batman. Yeah, that's exciting. Yeah, we're gonna be talking Tim Burton's Batman right now, which is probably one of the movies as a kid I knew every single line to. I still do to this day.
Oh, okay, wait.
I could probably recite this whole thing for you if I wanted to.
Okay. If that's the case, I want you to parse out this line. Ready?
Oh, wow. This is challenging.
Here we go. I'm of a mind that makes a movie.
I'm of a mind makes a mookie. Phone book.
What does he say there?
I thought it was makes a movie.
Makes a movie?
Yeah. Because like all the pictures that he was taking. Because that's when he's cutting out the pictures, right?
Okay. I mean, it's like better than my guess, which is, I don't know.
Glad you gave it a shot, though.
Yeah. Well, let me see. I don't know. Is that an answer?
See, I think to this day there's a lot of lines in that movie that are just kind of delivered and like just really oddly delivered too. Like for instance, when Jack holds on and does his version of Jack Palance talking to Bob,
and
you are my number one, and he says "guy," but he says like when he says it, and it was like there's like some really odd deliveries of Jack Nicholson's performance in this, obviously because he's the Joker.
You
Yeah.
number one guy. Yes, sir.
But I don't know if you guys have ever read or anything, and I think I found it before earlier today, that Nicholson had a big hand in like kind of the direction of how this movie went, because Burton was still, a very young director at the time. I mean, this is post Beetlejuice, right? Mm-hmm. So that he had one big hit on his hands, and they gave him Batman.
Well,
I'm assuming
it was Pee-wee and Beetlejuice.
Yeah, Pee-wee too was a big one. Yeah, sorry. But I guess Jack Nicholson had a big hand in how things were delivered and how the scenes were directed, and you can kind of tell that he took it in a very Jack direction for this, and still my favorite Joker of all time.
Yeah. Do you think that's partially why because he held out for it? I read that Robin Williams was like basically penciled in to do it.
I think he was signed and knocked off when Nicholson said, yeah.
So how I read it was like, basically Nicholson was like really hesitant about it, and then they signed Robin Williams on to do it, assuming Nicholson still said he didn't want to do it. But really what Warner Brothers did was use Williams as bait. And then, so maybe Nicholson says, well, I'm going to do it, but I want a lot more creative control over it or something. So I don't know. I thought that was really interesting. I never knew that before, that Williams not only could have played him, but was like basically going to do it. And then because of ego or whatever, that
he was also going to come back to be the Riddler, and he completely told WB to fuck off because of what happened with Batman. Yeah.
He said, from what I read, it was like they wanted him to do Riddler. He said no, and then they said, in fact, I won't do anything with Warner Brothers until they apologize for doing that.
Yeah.
Like no Warner Brothers movies.
Wow.
It's like, God, I know. What problems to have, but still, that's kind of it. But still, I mean, that's wild. I mean, I like the film. This is a wild film. I've probably seen it like twice, and that's like back when I was a kid.
You've only seen this movie twice?
I think so, yeah.
I was watching it 2 times a day for a period.
Yeah. This unfortunately for me falls into one of those categories. Like it hits one way in your head as a kid, and then you watch it as an adult, and you're like, wow.
Interesting. Do you mind delving into that a bit?
Sure. I mean, as it feels like I remember as a kid being a little bit like adult feeling, like kind of scary. Yeah. I was born in 1981, so I'm sure I didn't see this in '89. I probably saw this when I was like, I don't even know, 10, 13, something like that. It would be my guess. Wow. But I remember being kind of scary to me. I remember very vividly a few things about the film, and then other stuff that came up watching it again was like, what the hell is this? I don't even blocked out stuff. Him pulling the pistol out of his pants was like that was like an iconic moment for me.
Yeah,
for sure.
Actually him laying dead on the cement, and then the little
box,
the tickle laughter thing was very, very core memory for me. Like, remember that about the film.
Oh yeah. Because Batman killed somebody, that was a big deal.
Yeah,
considering his ethics or code.
I was always curious to know, I know there's the television show, but the television show was almost exactly like the comics, even to the pows and the bangs and the whams. It was from 60s, page to picture. It was
original, the DC comics, right? The old ones, like Action Comics, or whatever those original ones were.
Sure, and then you go to Adam West on television, and it's like, this is exactly what that feels like. And then this is Tim Burton, like dark sense of humor and
it's
dark
more Frank
direction.
Miller. This is after Frank Miller had come out with the Dark Knight Returns and Year One and things like that. So this was that darker take and much more psychological take that Batman started going down.
But is this the film? Is this the comic book movie that started off let's make comic book movies from now on and all? I mean, it's few and far between when we were younger. But is this the first one that really sort of turned the page of doing that, or no?
No, that I think traces back to X-Men, the Hugh Jackman, Bryan Singer, and then it was from that point on that there was always a comic movie going, and then when we get to 2009-ish and a little beyond that, it becomes the sort of MCU,
Iron Man just started all that.
Yeah, and taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, Volume 3.
It's just the fucking minigun of just superhero movies just blowing your face off. I mean, but at this time there wasn't as much comic book stuff, and
it was 12 years after Superman. Superman's what, 77, 78, I think. I might be wrong on that, but it's still, a long time before we get this iconic comic book character in a movie.
I read that there was a lot of like script problems too, like writing problems. They wrote like the third act on set.
Holy cow. It does feel a little rushed.
Yeah, I mean, it's like some of the stuff that's striking to me. Maybe it's when is this, 89? Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
89. I mean, like the museum art scene is like comically awful. It was like,
wow, really?
Yeah, like laughing through it. How just
well, Evan, it was nice having you on the show, buddy. We gotta let you go.
Oh, we're losing
Break
you.
it up. You must be driving through a tunnel.
We'll put a tunnel behind him.
Yeah. Like the dancing through it, and it was like a music video vibe was. Just,
it's Prince.
It felt like,
so
of course,
awesome.
it was
Party Man.
Yeah,
it just felt like, what's going on now? Like,
not this
gentlemen.
one, Bob.
Let's broaden our minds.
Lawrence?
Like Nicholson going from like sort of the I wish I was in charge, sort of yes man, like gangster guy, to like who he became as the Joker. It was like two different people. I mean, it's like
sure.
the way he's portraying the Joker to me was like, I just wish he would back it off a little bit. Sometimes where it was like, he's like going so far over the line. They're like didn't know what to like.
Mope.
Should we just
mope?
Like yeah.
Mope.
Those are the kinds of things I'm talking about. Like where did that's not scripted,
right?
Sure. Yeah. It also doesn't need to be left in or used.
That's exactly what I mean. Like maybe there was something to do with him saying, "I want this," in there. It shows more jokery.
Leave that in there. That stays. It's like, I often wonder, like, why do some films stand the test of time, some don't? I mean, like, this movie kind of really needs to lean on imagination and technology and filmmaking and all these things that's never been made before or used in a way. I mean, like, it pains me to think that, like, this is supposed to take place in New York City and Gotham, and like the big party at the end where he announces to the whole New York City he's going to dump $2 million and like 300 people show up. Like, there'd be 300 people there anyway. Like it doesn't look in any way like it's a big citywide party that he's like. It looks like just happening down on 39th while something just as insane is happening up over on 38th. Is like that. You didn't feel that happening to me. I mean, which is fine. The story is the story, right? But
no, but I mean, just on that point, to pick a bone there, like think about how different the opening scene was, where it's like that fake out that it's supposed to be the Bruce Wayne origin story, but it's really just some other family in sort of current day. And
which I love. I want to just interject here. I love when the hooker grabs the kid's arm. She's like, "Hey,
listen,
honey."
He's like,
with
slow. She's got.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, good God, he's with his parents, and like he leans in and
that's
goes,
3 customers. Okay, like, what do you want?
7's that way.
It's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That's just how crazy Gotham is. Okay.
God. Hey, honey, Mom, Dad, give me 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Give me $20 in 5 minutes. I'll be right back.
Yeah, that's the title of his memoir. What's funny though is like you look at the contrast of that scene where it's like there are people scattered around, but it's not as populous as it was at the very end there, where people are out in the street partying, listening to Prince, and grabbing free money with Joker's face on it. Hubba hubba hubba. Who do you love? Who do you trust?
And he's the Joker, right? So now he's the Joker. Like, okay, quick transition. I get it. That's fine. He's been boiling, and they had plastic surgery and all this stuff. And he comes out in like 5 seconds.
See what I have to work with.
Yeah. Like, 5 seconds later, like the henchman comes up. He's already got like a nice satin jacket with the Joker logo on it. Like you've already also branded the whole thing. Like,
yeah. Well, he needs to know who's on his team. He's got the purple cars and and the van and all this stuff.
It's so funny. I didn't remember too. Like they reversed everything you think about the Joker, which is that he puts makeup on, and this is that like the acid
covers it up,
burned his pigment out. And so like
exactly.
so that's what the plastic surgeon did. Like, isn't this guy a gangster? Like this is the best guy you can find. Works in some alley.
Yeah,
He's
but you see
destroy
what he
your
has
face.
to work with here.
You see what I have to work with here.
Mirror.
Mirror. I know.
Mirror.
His mummy hand, like
Yeah, exactly. Like shakes it.
it's like,
So
because
awesome.
it'd be like, we can't show that he's got a white hand. We want the reveal. Like, well, okay, well, let's put a bunch of gauze on his hand. Like,
Well, but they already did reveal that his fingers were white with the green fingernails right when he drops into
that's
the,
true. Yeah.
the vat. Yeah.
The sort of torn up gloves there, yeah.
I'm gonna defend this movie till the end. So just wait.
Please do.
Same.
It was such a fun watch. All things considered, like I said, I haven't seen it in so long. So
Oh,
thinking
for
about-
sure.
And what Batman as a franchise has gone through all the way till now. This movie coming out soon, feeling like at least in my generation, this is like the first one, because Adam West was so far before my time. It's like when my dad was a kid watching, early Batman stuff. So like this is my first like sort of the Batman, and then it was like a fast rolling rock downhill from there, going into like when you're watching like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and you're just like, oh my god,
Oh
Yeah.
freeze.
It felt like to me just exploring the bat stuff, and like he's like the bats in the cages in his cave and stuff. To me, it's like okay, but which felt very Tim Burton, like dressing the set. But it also felt like this movie was made by people who had like never read Batman before. It was like, let's make it scary and dark and put him in a cave, and let's put bats in cages. Where it's like, but what's the motivation behind that other than like creepy set dressing? I wasn't sure. It just didn't feel like everything had a motivation behind it other than like, well, we got to like put a lot of art in this film, to make set dressing and stuff. I wasn't sure about it. The cave and stuff was like wild.
Yeah, no, but the fidelity to the comic books or to past television shows or whatever, like who cares as long as they do it well.
Yeah.
But like I think we all figured out by watching this movie, I don't know if you guys noticed this, where Steve Jobs got his fashion sense was Bruce Wayne, like watching his multiple screen surveillance.
That
center.
turtleneck is tough,
the
man.
turtleneck tucked into the tight Jerry Seinfeld jeans.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he had the the thin glasses, like the little rimmed Steve Jobs glasses.
That tightness keeps all the thoughts up here. It keeps nothing ever seeps down.
Can't let an idea leak anywhere outside of my brain.
Good one, Alfred. Let me get that back up.
It's like,
there.
how do we, with what I'm assuming can only be somewhat of a limited budget, portray that this guy's a billionaire?
Yeah, turtleneck and jeans.
It wouldn't be the giant castle he's living in. No. It's the turtleneck.
It's that rock outfit, that old Dwayne Johnson picture that they've got of him in the black
with the
turtleneck
fanny
and jeans.
With the fanny pack and the chin.
Yeah, the fanny pack. It's billionaire status. Dress the part, baby.
And I love too, like these guys are mixed in, so like they're part of the mob, I guess. Is that right? Like,
yeah, or
it's always some different, but Carmine Maroney or whatever is always like the big head. Yeah,
led by
Carl Grissom.
Carl Grissom, yeah,
led by Curly from City Slickers. And
is that you, Sugar Bumps?
That's me, Sugar Bumps.
So these guys are like tied into the police, right?
Oh yeah,
and so they're like
with Ed Cart.
Yeah, so finally it's now Joker's turn, right, to cause some havoc. And his number one henchman informs him she's dating some guy named Wayne. They don't know who this guy is.
He's about to trade up.
Bullshit, they don't know who he is. Some guy named Wayne, like you're that tight into the city and it's all of its operations and all the money you have in this. There's a billionaire living in the city and you don't even know who he is.
Yeah, but think about all these fucking billionaires you don't know the names of. I mean, in other Batman movies, Wayne Enterprises is all over everything. In this one, there's no clear source of his money. It's just like, he's like he's an aristocrat. It's just
old money somehow.
Yeah.
Well, he's a lord because his father was a duke and a lord or whatever.
Could you tell me which of these guys is Bruce Wayne?
Well, I'm not sure.
Thanks, Amy.
Who is this guy?
Oh, where'd this come from?
I have no idea.
It's Japanese.
How do you know?
Because I bought it in Japan.
Who are you?
Oh, sorry. Bruce Wayne.
Alexander Knox.
Vicky Vale.
Hi. Bruce Wayne.
Are you sure?
Yeah, this time.
Yeah, because he doesn't go into a job or an office or anything like that, like during the movie, right? I mean, like they never see him actually go into work.
You go downstairs and you get a cup of coffee.
You have your coffee and you
kiss
have your
a
job.
wife or a kid or.
But he is in a turtleneck, so you don't got to go through all that bullshit. If you just put him in a turtleneck, are you going to show any of that?
Vicky, you're a nice girl, but for right now, shut up. Get the fuck out of my apartment, dude. Look at this apartment I can afford. You think I need to let you talk to me like that? Beautiful apartment, too.
He says, like, nice apartment, a lot of room.
A lot of space, yeah.
Yeah.
The Joker says it, too.
Yeah, I know.
Well, everyone's surprised that someone who just works at a fucking newspaper can afford a $6 million apartment in downtown Gotham.
Downtown Gotham.
She took pictures in fictional Corto Maltese, though. She had the goods for Time or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. She travels the world. She just chose to come check out this bat, man. Might be something. Man, might not be.
Hello, legs.
Oh, speaking of that, Robert Wool, another comedian that's kind of thrown into a movie in this. See, again, this block works perfect, Jeremy. Nice work. I thought he was. It is Robert Wool, right? That's his name. As the I thought he was hilarious as kind of like this comedic. I don't know what, just to throw in there, but he's like, "Hey Wayne, do you think I should open a six cases of wine? Yeah, 6 is good. Six should do it." I loved his character.
He was really funny. He's like that savvy know-it-all at the paper that could talk to anybody, isn't intimidated, but he's like annoying. So
no one likes him, right?
Yeah, no one likes him.
Yeah.
He played that character beautifully. It's so funny.
No, it's great.
They say he can't be killed. They say he drinks blood. They
I
say
say you're full of shit, Knox.
And when the like, you know, corrupt like fat cop was like saw him, he's like, Christ, Knox.
That's Ed Cart, baby.
Okay.
And then when Jack brings him some money, he's like, I brought you a snack, Ed Cart.
Slipped on a banana peel.
Banana peel.
What is the deal with this guy's lines? Like 65% of his lines are recorded after the fact. Like none
inaudible.
of them. They just weren't even rolling sound ever when this guy's on camera. Like,
well, because you didn't hear his voice on set, which was a lot higher, and so they're like, well, we needed something a little more gruff and gravelly, so let's ADR all his lines. Yeah,
ADR, but with somebody else.
Yeah.
It's like big fat gristly.
Don't go printing that in your paper, Knox.
It's like that guy. That was a weird character. Like, he was the guy they'd push in and get the line from him, and like that cigar hanging out of it. That's probably what it was. Like, we can't understand you with a cigar hanging out of it. It's a peach, Jerry.
It's a peach.
What'd he say? Like, I don't know. Well, ADR it. Like, I can't understand anything he says.
The urban sombrero. So, yeah, man.
Should we mention the mayor too?
There's a mayor in this. What I love, real quick, before we get into that, is like the like.
There's a mayor of Gotham, and furthermore, I'd like.
Furthermore, let's not talk about the reason we put these movies together. I love like the way that they made this sort of like anachronistic style to everything, where it's simultaneously the 30s and the 80s. You know, there's like, you know, leather wearing, you know, mohawk spiked, you know, biker punks on the street, and also everyone's wearing, you know, hats and fedoras and
long coats.
trench coats. Yeah, exactly.
Because they just got done taking hostage, training people down in the subway.
Yeah.
Those were their second hats, actually. Yeah. They had already reversed their jackets. Yeah.
They didn't follow step 6 of his like mustache removal procedures.
I noticed no one in Gotham had a mustache. Yeah, because they already finished their job. Yeah.
They all had like red upper lips. They all had
Yeah.
red upper lip from.
I'm just breaking out a little bit. It's shaving.
They had like red upper lips from spirit gum removal, just ripping the mustache off.
I guess the only person who had a mustache is what, Billy D?
Yeah.
I think so.
Harvey Dent, who was supposed to be a Two-Face in to go through the story. Like he was going to become Two-Face, which I would have loved to see that. But
ghosts and goblins.
Yeah.
So you had 2 Star Wars people in this movie, right? Ed Cart's a Star Wars guy. He was Porkins, right? Or one of the fighter pilots.
No, I'm all right.
And then we've got Billy D, right? Lando Calrissian.
Christ, Luke.
You're sure Jack Palance isn't in any Star Wars films?
Jack Palance might have played a really old droid at one point.
Yeah, well, he was actually penciled in as Obi-Wan Kenobi, but then when
Alec Guinness came in and swiped it away, man.
Yeah, and he's like,
Yeah, they fired Jack Palance.
Yeah, they used him as bait.
I've heard this story before.
Yeah. But yeah, okay. So we got the Flugelheim scene that Evan hated so much, but man, it's so fucking awesome.
It is awesome.
I love it. Party man, come on. You hate Party Man?
It's like awesome and like it's nostalgic to you and funny, or is it like in what way is this like great? It just looked like what maybe it's such an 80s thing to do. Like, it's time for a music video. Let's chop this up a bit.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, it didn't even.
Same with the like party in the street. Handing out free money. Hubba hubba hubba. Who do you love?
But let's talk about the museum though, real quick, because I'm going to defend this movie to the end.
Sure.
That movie starts with a really cool scene, right? Because Vicky Vale's waiting for her date, who she thinks is Bruce Wayne. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, she gets a gift out of nowhere, which becomes that orange and green gas mask, which is great art direction, in my opinion. Put this on right now, and then all of a sudden the gas starts pouring in.
Sure.
And then, let's skip through the Prince music video, so I don't want to offend or anything. We'll move to the end of that. But then you've got then the Batman shows up, right? And then you've got the Batman scene of him saving Vicky Vale and everything.
Sure.
So I guess you're right. It is kind of broken up a little bit, but I think that scene altogether is fucking awesome with a great music video right in the middle of it,
Well, he had to express how he was the world's first homicidal artist.
Yeah.
I make art until someone dies.
Dude, the best art that he made was that one painting of the alleyway or whatever, the viaduct, and he writes "Joker was here" in the red. I love that. I always wanted
the $1 bill,
like a replica of that one. That
I'd love a replica of that one.
There was just like him dancing all the way through, and maybe it's just his dancing. I'm just so offended by his horrible dancing, like then and in the streets. Like the bit of the guy carrying around the boombox is like the most 80s weird thing ever. When he's like on a faux date with her, and then he walks over and he presses stop on the music. It's like such a funny bit.
But then he pulls out one of his gadgets, right? The lighter, and lights all the candles at once, like with the
and it's
flamethrower.
It's like a torch that goes like.
I love that the boombox guy is like a 1910 like Russian bodybuilder with a bald head and thick mustache. There's another guy with a mustache. There you go.
Isn't he the guy? Isn't he the guy in the end, and then he's in the bell tower when he yells and just jumps through the floor?
I think that's the one where Batman flips up and crushes his head against the bell and then throws him down with his legs.
No, that was the Ray Charles looking guy.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
The Russian bodybuilder from 1910. He's the one who sort of jumps to come get him and just smashes to the ground.
He just goes and then falls through the floor.
That was such a funny kill. That was awesome.
It was a really funny kill.
That one and the first time Batman scopes out the scene, he sort of buzzes the tower before going back and collecting the balloons.
Yeah.
And while he buzzes the tower, I don't know, maybe that startled these guys, but there's kind of an unforced error where 2 or 3 guys just fall off and they just smash into a sign and so he doesn't have the best henchmen, I think is what we're getting at here.
Yeah. They're holding on to the balloon, just flying, and they're
what am I
guess who the hell would follow a guy like that, right? You probably wouldn't find the best, employees.
Yeah,
They wouldn't be very reliable, at least.
They got to be pretty loyal with no reason at all.
They have to be willing to put on
no reason at all. Exactly.
Patches. I mean, they don't have any fashion sense. I mean, with those bomber jackets with patches. I mean, come on.
The jackets killed me.
It looks like Escape from L.A. With What the hell was his name? The one that ran
the
L.A.
fake Che, that guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Che version. Yeah, those bombers.
And then the helicopter too. You got the helicopter. It's like a purple helicopter with the Joker symbol on it. It's like, okay, well, I get okay. I don't think you're a billionaire. You're not a billionaire. Where are you getting the helicopter?
Wait, it's a crime boss, okay? It's a crime boss.
I like that they use the same fighting bit twice of like the high-flying acrobatic entrance and then the one-shot like dismissal of such performance. I think he does it in the street once and then in the bell tower again. The guy that like is like yelling while flipping like the whole time and then and it's like the knives at his feet and he just like...
He palms him to the ground.
Just like palms him to the ground, and that guy's just been dismissed now. Like, those kinds of things are so. And they do it like twice in the movie. Which I thought was so funny.
I love a good dismissal. Yeah. That's a funny way to put that.
It's like a huge build up. It's like it's almost the Indiana Jones thing.
Exactly.
It's like, the guy's like swinging the scimitar for like 10 minutes. And he just shoots him in the head.
Bang. Next. Anybody else? Yeah, fat man, jump on these 300-year-old boards. Just fall to your impending. Like, some of this stuff is so funny. Like you just, you're suspending your disbelief. Where he like the acid that he has in his jacket on the flower that just like melts iron on this bell that's been there for like 200 years, and it just falls. Like, he just a little squirt, and it's like that's like, what if he gets punched? Like he would just melt. Like,
I mean, literally everything about this movie is suspending your disbelief. What are you talking about?
I know, but like even in that, you're thinking like, good Lord, the flower. I'll just squirt the bell, and then like, come on, the whole thing is so wild. It's so wild.
Oh my God. Well, listen. You wouldn't hit a guy with glasses, would you? I mean, those rules work in this.
How many props does he have on his arsenal?
His chattery teeth and
just make as many jokes as I can until I'm out here, and then.
Yeah. You don't understand what it's like to be in a prop comic. You have to have things at all times.
Carrot Top does not have an easy time at this.
It's a total miss when he's hanging on the ladder at the end that he could just pull out like a super long handkerchief and like tie it on there, and like he could have gone all the way down to the ground.
Or his hand like extended.
He had the fake hand. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He had a fake hand, right?
Yeah, that's what he was thinking on the way down. It was like, I blew the fake hand thing.
Should have kept that for a second.
It was really funny when I did it. We should maybe talk about the mayor in this one. This is the Mayor of Gotham episode, and Lee Wallace makes an appearance as the mayor again, who wants...
He actually does this time.
Yeah, who's actually in this one for sure on screen.
Yeah, they didn't cut him out. Yeah,
and he's not sick or anything. Like, I think he's actually a pretty decent mayor in this one.
Yeah, he was like the most competent version of the mayor.
It took him 30 years in movies to become a competent mayor.
No, I mean, he's about the same as Pelham. Like in this one, like
never mind.
He can't make a decision. Like they keep trying to like focus group like the bicentennial thing, and like he's like he's like, we won't be intimidated, and he gets like moved right off screen, and like, it's just like, he's got a cadre of people around him making all the decisions for him. Like,
Joker here.
Like when Knox is interviewing all those people, like, they go down the line and like he's like, no comment. He runs away because he can't take the pressure at all. Unlike Harvey Dent, who could at least parry with the ghosts and goblins joke, and I mean, he's basically the same character.
Yeah,
no, that's true. That's a good point. I thought it was hilarious when they go to the screen where they're talking to the city, and then Joker shows up on some sort of like dual screen.
Yeah, he pushes it to the side.
Yeah, I know. Like, no, but they're also like they're on camera. They're on camera. Yeah, they're on camera and they're looking over at him as if like they can see.
Yeah,
as if they can see him. I thought that was so weird. As opposed to listening to him or like maybe looking somewhere, they're looking as if
somewhere,
as we all are at the other screen.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it was such a weird. And then him like
Joker
the
here
pushing over like. Joker here.
I love that.
Okay.
His fireside chat.
Yeah. When I'm taking over as...
So, I love this movie. It's like, I love when they have, like, at the very, very beginning, like, there's, like, two guys who rob that that fake, Martha and whatever. Bruce Wayne's dad,
Marcia and Timothy.
Thomas.
Thomas.
And the one guy who has the sort of twisted bill hat. For the longest time as a kid, I thought that was Bruce Willis. There ain't no bat. That guy.
Oh, that guy.
It's hilarious.
See, I thought that was a strong opening scene too, because it, like you said, it mirrored what you were about to find out later on with the killing of Thomas and Martha Wayne, with this kind of a botched. Well, no, I guess they did get away with it, right? But the Batman caught up with them later. Yeah. But that unfortunate family did lose their money in pearls. Yeah.
He just beat the shit out of those guys. It's not like he returned the money.
Yeah, exactly. That's why he's a billionaire. Now we know. He just keeps the money.
Well,
he returns. He sends everybody to the police with no empty pockets.
Returns it to his bank.
Yeah. Well, one other thing you mentioned was okay, so you're like, oh, how does the Joker have a helicopter and all these other things, right? So the Grissom crime gang, apparently they own that chemical factory, and that chemical factory has bits and pieces that go into every single product ever. So the Grissom crime gang is also a billionaire gang. It's like the duel of billionaires fighting over the city there.
So everybody got a pay bump to put on a satin jacket and go work in the city, and they didn't have to work.
Yeah,
I'm getting promoted.
Our company had a merger. Okay, I guess we're wearing purple now.
Purple. Oh, I love purple.
We got purple jackets and
company cars. Yeah. Ooh, these are pretty nice. Purple? Yeah, it's free.
Yeah. Last week I was working the line at the spray bottle factory. Now I got to learn how to fly a helicopter. But and we got to design a blimp. God. How many blimps? 2 blimps?
I don't know, like 12. That'll probably be good. As long as they go above cloud cover, I think we're all set. We'll just spread this poisonous gas much further.
I also thought it was really funny, like how he's Bruce Wayne. He wants to remain anonymous, right? But he wants to tell everybody, tell him about the Batman. Tell all your friends about the Batman. Because he wants to remain like the anonymous, like ninja fighting in the shadows, protecting the city. But for somebody with those intentions, he sure invites a hot dame to his cave pretty quickly. And then
Alfred did that.
Oh, Alfred did. Okay. Yeah. But then in the end, he's like flies his jet down into the city. That falls, explodes everywhere. Like they would all just go look at it, like, who made this?
He blocked out the moon for a second, giving the idea for the bat signal. The guy, he's branding himself.
He did that literally for nobody. It was like the only person who would see that is the camera above the clouds.
And the blimps got a good shot at it.
Exactly.
It's blimp view.
For somebody who's like trying to remain anonymous, it sure puts on a hell of a show when he comes out to fight crime in Gotham City.
Where does he get those wonderful toys?
Exactly. Oh, man. Well, I think we've gotten to the end of Batman, and we've definitively proven Evan wrong that this movie's great, and he
super awesome. Everybody should watch it. It's great.
Really holds up, huh?
There's a lot of stuff about it that was really awesome. Nostalgic about watching like 80s films and films when you're a kid that you just think are so badass. But when you see stuff like that it's like how movies were made back then and the stuff that was popular. And like, well, we got Prince to make the soundtrack, so we better celebrate that somehow. We got, like all that stuff fits in there nicely. But like I said, what I remembered it being is like sort of a scary film a little bit. It was like
after rewatching it, I would argue that Batman Returns is scarier than the first Batman. I think Batman Returns is a much more like psychological and.
Maybe it was only because I was younger when I saw the first Batman, but it was like definitely when he fried the guy with his ring buzzer thing. That
plus
was
with that shining crack zoom that like pops out like to show
he's
like
he's got the he's got the skull and he grabs him by the neck and it's like clack and he has that horrible bone noise. I'm glad you're dead.
And that's another one too. It's like so funny. Like he's that close to like he's putting like 500 volts through this guy to burn him to a crisp. But it's okay because he's wearing a glove or something. Like how is that happening?
That's two currents, right? There's a positive and a negative charge, and that's creating a current.
And this guy is completing the circuit.
Exactly. Now, when I'd love to have like a mashup edit of like Daniel explaining. Daniel explaining
the Joker's
electricity,
joy buzzer.
yeah, and then watching the guy get fried on the third rail, like the Joker third railed him.
Yeah,
oh, wow, I like that.
Yeah, so this movie is the mayor of electrocution.
Yeah, electrifying mayors of Gotham.
Yeah. One more thing. I'll do one more thing because you said it was your favorite Joker ever.
Yeah.
Who you know who I think is one of the most underrated Jokers ever? And I'll say this because I'm a dad, so maybe you haven't seen the film, but Zach Galifianakis in Lego Batman.
Oh, he's awesome in that.
Such an awesome Joker.
Well, I mean, I guess for that, I'd say Mark Hamill's like my favorite voice of the Joker.
Yeah, he's a big popular one. Everybody I mean, I loved Ledger. Was good. I mean, he's kind of good, like in his own category, sort of, because it was just such a right time to do that.
That movie could have just been him, and it would have been a great movie.
Well, and arguably that's the only reason people like that movie is it's not because of Batman, that's for sure. It's because of the Joker. But anyway,
that's of Batman's voice.
Rachel.
Evan, thank you for joining us today. Can you tell the folks at home where they can find you in the World Wide Webs?
Well, right now I do with my comedy partner. We do like I guess I don't know, social comedy. We you can follow us at The Dumb Dads. The Dumb Dads on YouTube. We're at Dumb Dad Pod. We do like parenting sketches. We put them on TikTok. We put them on Instagram. We've done stuff for Oh Bubble. Like a channel on Ellen Tube, and so yeah, it's really fun. We're having a great time doing it. So it's a niche. You gotta have kids to enjoy it, but yeah, we're having a great time doing it.
Excellent. All right, next time we will be talking about Lucy Noir, which is interesting because Lucille Ball was a noir actress prior to becoming who we know as Lucy. Is this?
Yeah.
Am I getting that right?
Before everyone loved Lucy, the studio didn't know what to do with her, and they made her kind of like a femme fatale in these movies, which will be a pretty fun way to look at her. It's a totally different look at it from the sitcom that we're all used to.
A little bit different, yeah. So the three films we're going to be talking about are Lured, The Dark Corner, and The Big Street, and that will be on next time's episode.
Who's the mayor? Who plays the mayor?
Well, hopefully Lucille doesn't get cut out of one of these movies.
All right, thank you so much for listening. Please make sure to subscribe and follow us on all the podcasts and social platforms at the Grindhouse Institute. And if you really want to give us a boost, check us out on Apple Podcasts and leave us a rating and review. It helps us to get noticed. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll be back next week.
Ciao.
He had a head full of bad wiring, I guess. Made mistakes. And then he had this...
Right shot! Now you want to get nuts! Come on! Let's get nuts.